Well, it had been a while since he held up a big, important trophy like this, sliding around the court with some of the best movement we've ever seen, hitting incredible shots off of both wings, all the way to victory. This great man hoists another trophy. Of course, we're talking about Jannik Sinner, the champion, Jannik Sinner of Montpellier. Nice serve out wide. His serve is improved. Always on balance, no matter what you throw at him, and he hoists the trophy. Speaking of seven, that's title number 7 for Jannik Sinner. Such a young man. What a surprise. He's hoisted up 7 trophies by now. Speaking of number 7, take a look at this. 0 Grand Slams, 0 semifinals, but 7 quarterfinals at the Grand Slams. They call him Agent 007. He's Andrei Rublev, one of the better ATP, WTA memes, Instagram accounts memes in recent history. But no, obviously Joker and Djokovic combined. Obviously Joker is the one who hoisted up the important trophy, the Australian Open 22. You can make a case that he's the greatest of all time already. He looks a lot healthier than Rafa, obviously. And of course, last year, do you really think if Joker had been allowed to play that Rafa would have won the Grand Slam? So he already would have been ahead maybe by 21-23. But of course, that's not how things work. Before we get into all that, though, let's look at what happened over the weekend. This generation, this loser gen of guys that have been overshadowed by the big three, it's so interesting to watch them to me, which is why Rotterdam, we'll talk a little bit about Rotterdam, it's starting up. It's going to be an important tournament. It's the first 500 of the year, and it's going to be an important tournament to watch to see what the loser gen is up to. Sinner will not be there. But reason why I've always liked Sinner, and now that we know Joker's probably the greatest of all time, more reason to like him. He's the most Joker-like of all of the next gen, whatever you want to call him. Lost gen, forgotten gen, overshadowed gen, underachieving gen, low confidence gen. Serve comes. You see that?
He's made it.
That backhand's great, but at the very beginning of the clip, you see this defense. I mean, it doesn't get any closer from the loser gen to Novak Djokovic than that. Speaking of the next gen, this guy came out of nowhere.
Oh, no way has he made that.
Wu Yubing, first Chinese player to win a title, I think, in the open era, or ever maybe. It's just a weird thing about our sport. We've never had any Chinese players that win anything. So with all the exciting, news around Chinese spy balloons in America, Americans are very excited to see a Chinese player come to Texas, of all places in the United States, and take a trophy from John Isner, our most successful American player. Anyways, let's talk about Rotterdam really quick. Tsitsipas is going to be there. We got to keep our eye on him and see what he's going to do after losing in straight sets in the final. A lot of people thought it'd be a close match, but Joker he was going to take it no matter what. Why leave anything up to chance? Just take him out in 3 sets after that last experience that both of them apparently forgot from the French Open final. Rublev will be there, Agent 007. Felix Auger-Aliassime, one of these guys who's so awesome to watch. He's like a nice mix of Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer, you could say. But mentally, it doesn't have what those guys have. And we'll see if he's going to pull it all together and do something with his career. He obviously can win titles now. For a long time, he was Agent 00. What was it? 0 in finals. He was like 0-10. Hubi-Dubi, Hurkacz, Medvedev, Busta, and then Zverev at the very bottom. Weird seeing Medvedev and Zverev at the bottom of this list of young talent playing in Rotterdam. So we'll keep our eye on what the loser gen is up to in Rotterdam. But let's go back to Novak Djokovic, because that's what really matters in our sport right now.
But
this was this was my favorite.
There's time ahead of me, and let's see how far I go.
Okay. Next question, please, from a fellow named Matt.
When the match ended, you
pointed to 3
your box
things.
and you pointed to a few different places. I'm curious, can you talk? Can you?
Yeah.
What were you trying to say?
What do you want me to say? You've seen it all.
You've seen it all.
I mean, it's a little code language we have. They understand. It takes big heart and of course a lot of mental strength and
Yeah, that's number one.
And the third thing as well to make it.
What is it? What is it? He pointed somewhere around here. Oh, that's it. Okay, so the third thing, I think on the trophy presentation, they even asked him about it, and he said something like he pointed to his legs. I can't remember. It's been a little while, as you may know, since the final. But did he point to his legs? Did he point to the eggs? We don't know. But anyways, this is what really mattered. Listen to Djokovic here. It was the funniest thing Joker said. And since the Australian Open took my last video down and gave me a copy strike, they're trying to destroy my channel here.
Don't let anybody take away that dream from you. Nurture it.
Just have a still.
Water it like you water the flowers. Even if you find only one person in this world that will...
Only one person.
That will accept, embrace, and support your dreams. Find that person and dream big, because you can make it.
Great message there from Djokovic. You can make it if you can only find one person who believes in your dream and supports you in your dream. Do it. Dream big. You can make it. I think Djokovic needs to deliver that message at the next gen, the foreshadowed gen, the forgotten gen, the lost gen, the loser gen of young tennis players we have right now. And I can recommend the one person you got to find first. Yourself. These guys, they don't have it. They don't even have the one person, the most important of all, yourself.
Don't act like you forgot. I call the shot. Like blah, blah, blah. Pay me what you want it. Don't act like you forgot. Bitch, better have my money.
Speaking of self-belief, did you see the first woman to win a major while pregnant since Serena Williams? Rihanna last night won the Super Bowl with an excellent performance. That's definitely a person who is not short on belief in themselves. This is where we stand right now. Deuce, 2 twos, up twice. 22-22. One title ahead, 2 in the Masters 1000s. 2 ahead in the year number ones. For the Raw fans, let's not talk about those World Tour Finals trophies head-to-head. And 30-29. It is as close as it can get. Now, I believe, let's take a look at this first. Big three domination is really, I mean, you can't blame the next gen too much. It's going to be hard to believe in yourself when you have these guys waiting for you at the end of every major. And here are the stats that bear that out. 21 of the last 24 majors, all 4 majors in the single year, 8 different times. We're talking the last 19 years. So almost half of the last 19 years, these guys have won all 4 majors in the single year. 23 of the last 25 major finals. 67 of the last 71, ranked number 1, 892 of the past 968 weeks. And again, when you see these stats where they're missing these little tiny numbers like the number, what is that, outside of 68 plus 76 weeks, I think that's entirely Andy Murray. I don't think anyone else held number 1 besides the big 3. So if you make it the big 4, really no one has any of this. Del Potro, Marin Cilic, and Medvedev are one next-gen guy who has broke through. Finished number 1 in 17 of the last 19 years. I don't recall Andy Murray finishing number 1 twice. I thought he was only a year in number 1 once. Who is the other one? Or did Murray get 2? It doesn't matter. And then look at this. Crunch Time Coaching, head sponsor of the show here, Coffee Break Tennis. Who will win the French Open flash poll? 50% to Novak. Now, a lot of people write off Rafa when they think he's injured. And Rafa's been injured and come back many times, more so than anyone else at this level of our sport. So I'm not going to write off Rafa, but it doesn't look super convincing. If Joker wins the French, we're going to be repeating the all 4 in 1 year, the Grand Slam quest all over again. And also, you know, Joker's undefeated this year now. He played a tune-up before the Australian Open. He's trying to get into Miami and Indian Wells. We'll see if that happens. And it looks like he'll be allowed to play the U.S. Open this year. It looks like all those laws will be changed regarding entry into the country for the vaccination stuff. And it looks like Joker will have a shot at going all 4, and he won't have to go play the Olympics in sweltering heat and have his nose swabbed every 5 seconds like he did in Japan the year that he fell short and lost the U.S. Open to Medvedev. So I think Joker's not only going to pass the record, 22. I think there's a good shot that Joker could win all 4 this year because, again, who's going to stop him at Wimbledon? I don't know. Who's going to stop him at the French Open? You know, it used to be like between Rafa and Dominic Thiem, it'd be really hard for Djokovic. Well, Dominic Thiem's definitely not going to be there to stop him. Tsitsipas, I think it becomes mental at that point. So the mental game, I saw this interesting clip. Patch, I'm not going to play it for you. I have a couple more clips for you, but not much. I'm very gun shy, as they say, since the Australian Open has tried to destroy my YouTube channel here. And very upsetting to me when they take one of my videos down, they seize the little bit of ad money. It's not a lot. It's like I spend, maybe 10 hours working on the videos I put up for the Australian Open. And I make like, less than $100, maybe $80 between those two videos that went up. And the Australian Open is trying to take all of that. It doesn't even make sense. It's like free promotion. I'm literally encouraging people to be more excited about tennis here at Coffee Break Tennis, where we love tennis. And they just keep messing with me. The other ones haven't messed with me so much lately, but the Australian Open, you know how they are. Anyways, where was I? Talking about mental. Patrick Mouratoglou said a big part of working with Serena Williams was helping her mentally. And he said he was shocked when one coach came to him and said, I need help. I've done everything I can to get this player playing great, technically from coaching aspect, strategically, but I can't help them with mental, and that's what they need. They're a mental wreck. And Mouratoglou said, well, if you call yourself a tennis coach, you kind of have to address the mental. That's a big part of our job, Mr. Unnamed Anonymous Coach. And it made me think about these guys. I remember hearing about Zverev when he was younger, very talented, obviously. Talent is just not enough. Sometimes talent makes it even harder, I think. As Djokovic said in his excellent trophy speech, which we won't show any more of, in fear of the Australian Open as they try to destroy me. What did he say? He said, later after he said that, believe in yourself, he said, even if you come from a very disadvantaged background, like war-torn 1990s Serbia, like Novak Djokovic with middle-class parents. Even if you come from, a poor country with not much opportunity, whatever, I think, Djokovic says, he thinks that it's almost an advantage to you because you become a lot tougher mentally when everything is so hard from you from the very beginning. So I'm not saying Zverev and Tsitsipas, had everything handed over to them. Obviously, they're very talented players, but it makes me remember when we heard about Zverev coming up, they said, he's so good already. But wait until he fills out physically and he starts hitting the ball bigger and he gets, bigger, faster, stronger. And then he worked with part of the team that made Andy Murray such a physical beast. Well, I think one of his main guys, Jez Green, I think his name is. Physio training, strength and conditioning training kind of coach guy. And, Zverev got all big and strong. And it just makes me wonder, when you feel like you've done everything and you should be winning now and you're still losing. In Zverev's case, remember he was, losing in early rounds and he starts throwing in all these double faults. It's so obviously mental. And that feeling of, I've done everything I'm supposed to do and I still can't win. That is a very overwhelming feeling. I liked some of the stuff Tsitsipas talked about. We did in the last video before the final, saying how, he's worked very much on his attitude and handling the moments in a tennis match where nothing is going the way you want it and you feel like your game has abandoned you. And, it's really hard to describe how that feels. I coach a player who is only been playing for a year, but is really dedicated, really loves tennis all of a sudden, and tried out for the high school team at a team where there's already a lot of good players, didn't make it. And one of the things I heard was, this player had better looking strokes, was hitting a nicer looking ball than players that did make the team who were maybe, more hacky kind of shots, but consistent, running around and not missing. Whereas, this player told me that this person felt like throwing up from nerves during the match, not only playing a little over a year and a half maybe, and, worked on a lot of shots, but hasn't played many matches, and nerves, if you're not ready for that, it doesn't matter how good you are. The mental side can just take you out of a match. And when you're going up against someone like Djokovic or Rafa, even though they're older, even though Rafa's banged up, remember how injured he was when he won the French Open last year? These players are going to have a tough time, and maybe they're going to be tougher in the very end. Maybe by the time they get to their 30s, and these guys are long gone, maybe the next gen will have a really hard time with them. Who knows? Anyways, real quick, one tiny clip from the Australian Open. Hopefully we don't get dinged by the Australian Open people. Something I like about Sinner so much, the return to serve. Now, you see that so compact the way he just goes right there. Imagine there's a fence next to you. Coach Peter Freeman at Crunch Time Coaching showed me this drill. put the fence on your side and just let your racket touch that fence and then turn your shoulders and take the ball early. Limit the backswing. Well, I saw another coach, Joel Myers, who's on Instagram a lot. Take a look at what he did. This is another way to do that drill. Put the fence behind you, and it shows, it's a little more visual, it's easier to see how it works. And then go back to Djokovic. When we see the Joker, it's exactly that drill. Look how close he is to the baseline. And, he just lets the back of his racket head go to the side fence. When you turn, the top would touch the back fence and then take that ball early and hit that winner. I think Djokovic is, this year is going to be a great year for him. I hope he can play in Indian Wells and Miami. It might hurt him a little not to play there, but with clay coming up, it's not the end of the world. As we know, Rafa is probably not going to play there. So he's doing that, looking to help him for the clay season. So maybe it'll help Joker to get on the clay earlier. It's not like last year where he didn't get to play the Australian Open and was kind of desperate for matches. One last thing on that match, Tsitsipas throughout the tournament was returning second serves from almost 9 feet back. Mr. Goat's here. Come on up, Mr. Goat. Come get your hand-fed medicinal treats. Welcome to the show, Mr. Goat. Take a look out the window. Got some good stuff for you over here. Anyways, Tsitsipas, as you can see, he tried to change his strategy up and return earlier against Djokovic, but I think that was maybe a bad play there because Djokovic is serving so well. Maybe it's because hey, Mr. Goat. Maybe it's because, Djokovic is spot serving so well. Oh, you don't want it? Here, have it right there. Have it your way. Right there, Mr. Goat. Oh, yeah. They're slippery, aren't they? He prefers to eat it out of the hand, usually. Maybe he just wants to be on the show today. I don't know. This is strange. One last try for the hand-fed. Oh, does he get it? He just wants to lick it? I don't get it. Psst. I think he just wants attention and is not super hungry. Anyways, moving on from that. Hit the music because we're going to get out of here. We will be back soon watching Rotterdam, keeping our eyes on what's going to happen there. And, of course, we'll do some shows in March. We'll see if Nadal and Djokovic are even there. If they're there, we'll pay more attention to it. If they're not, we will pay less attention to it. Quick mention, you might have noticed Shorty D, Diego Schwartzman, has not been doing well. Been losing early, often, everywhere. And I was starting to wonder myself, what's going on with Shorty D? And then I saw this. Father just left hospital after 3 weeks. It affects me. My father was hospitalized for 3 weeks, and I just left yesterday. For 2 weeks, I was spending hours in the clinic. These are not excuses, but perhaps I have less patience. I can attest to this. Obviously, I'm nowhere near the level of these guys, but when you're playing, I don't even want to say angry, but like just depressed. When you're very unhappy with things that you feel are out of control and depressing and upsetting, you feel like you have no patience on the court and you're kind of like taking out some rage. These are not excuses, but perhaps I have less patience. I feel more frustration when playing. My personal situation affects me. If you see me train, I'm doing very well, and that's how I feel on a day-to-day basis. But when it comes to competing, I'm not feeling my moments. Sometimes I try and I'm wrong. Other times I stay a little further behind and I'm wrong. It's difficult to find any clear reason for that other than that. Sometimes discomfort is combined with a bad moment of confidence and it results in bad play. So that's what's going on with Shorty D. And final thing for the show today, it starts at 11 seconds. Let's cue it up. 11 seconds. I think I figured out one of the reasons, right? I should like Taylor Fritz. His shots are aesthetically pleasing. But for some reason, I feel like I can't like Taylor Fritz that much. I don't know. I like him a little, but I think I've discovered part of it. And obviously, we've seen this a million times, but look at when Wu Yibing hits incredible forehand into open. You see that little head move from Fritz there? I remember that year, what was it, 2018, after Wimbledon, Rogers playing the indoor after, I think this is after he lost to Millman, John the Milkman Millman from Australia at the US Open. The problems with breathing because of the extreme humidity and the closing of the roof and not having a good air circulation in the US Open. It was first year they had experienced that. I think this was all 2018, I want to say. And Roger was very frustrated with his game. And I remember seeing him, having negative reactions after missing shots, and acting like he should be winning these indoor matches, places like Basel, Switzerland, and Shanghai, places like that. Well, what's the other one they always play around that time? Not Paris indoors, but another one I can't think of now. Anyway, so, Federer looking like he expects to win these points and is very upset with himself. We can accept that, right? As tennis fans, he should be winning the points. We all agree. Taylor Fritz quite hasn't earned that. And Taylor Fritz, you've seen it a million times where he loses a point to someone who's playing great. And instead of just putting his head down and going to work, he kind of, he has all these faces he makes, throwing his head back in frustration. Yes, tennis is a very frustrating sport, but I don't know, the way it comes across, it's just, I don't like it. And I think Taylor Fritz needs to do more winning before he acts like everyone in the world should understand that he should have won that point. And it's not his fault because he's so great. Anyways, thanks for watching Coffee Break Tennis. We will be back to talk about Rotterdam. Maybe just one video after it's over to wrap it all up. We'll see what happens there. I'm very interested to see what Tsitsipas does. Curious to see how Zverev does coming back from his injuries. It looked like his ankle is not going to let him go, very hard, very long in matches with little recovery. He had the day off in Australia. Now he'll have no days off if he advances in Rotterdam very far. He'll have matches back to back. The best of three. So we'll see. We'll see how his body is recovering from the horrific injury sustained against Rafa Nadal in the French Open last year. See ya.